OG.
OG.
OG. Those are the letters of the day. OG, because, oh my gosh, OMG, we now know a hell of a lot more about the individual who has perpetrated all of these leaks that have set the intel community on its head and have caused repercussions around the globe for the last several days. And I remember being on radio and saying, like, when we learn, who do you think it'll be? Obviously not by name, but what's the composite? What does this person look like? What was their motivation? A story was posted last night at the Washington Post by Shane Harris and Samuel Oakford. Headline, leaker of U.S. secret documents worked on military base, friend says. But that doesn't begin to discuss the story. I'll give you the lead and then I'll give you some highlights. The man behind a massive leak of U.S. government secrets that has exposed spying on allies, revealed the grim prospects for Ukraine's war with Russia, and ignited diplomatic fires for the White House is a young, charismatic gun enthusiast who shared highly classified documents with a group of far-flung acquaintances searching for companionship amid the isolation of the pandemic. So, as my favorite expression goes, the picture that emerges is you got 24 young men, boys, young men, okay?
Both.
Teens and
both.
And like the ringleader, and they're associated in a chat for gamers. They are video game enthusiasts.
So is this literally, as you often say, people in their feety pajamas?
Yes. And they cried when they recognized that this was now going to be an issue and that the man that they regard as OG was going to get in some hot water. They literally shed tears. OG is the ringleader. He's the mentor. He's a 20-something. It sounds to me, this is not what the Post says in this exclusive, but it sounds to me like he's a contractor who works at a military installation.
Well, that's the question. How would he have access
to this information?
Right.
Spent a lot of his time on a military base within a secure facility that prohibited cell phones and other electronic devices. And initially, he was feeding them tidbits of information, not as a whistleblower, not because he's an antagonist to his country, but if the story is accurate, it's because they were unified in their interests in God and in guns and in gaming. And he was sharing this as a means of schooling his pupils about what was going on from an intelligence standpoint. They were all very bonded. The word didn't get out until there was an interloper. The interloper then put it on another platform, and that's when the shit hit the fan. And they lay out in this story amazing detail, and you're wondering, well, how do they know? Because one of the members of this group, oh, by the way, they called themselves, what's the name of the chat group?
So the idea is just ego, like I know this, and now I'm going to share it with you, but we're not going to share it with anybody else.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Are you? If you leak,
Thug Shaker Central, Thug Shaker Central, which has some type of a racist connotation.
Yikes.
Apparently, there are memes associated with the group, off-color jokes, and so. Oh yeah, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of this story, not the end of it.
If you leak sensitive information, by definition, are you a traitor, even if you don't mean it to be against our country?
I believe you are.
I do too.
What I began to say is that the Post knows what they know about OG because one of the Discord group members spoke on the record to the Washington Post. He was under 18 when he met OG. At this time, I believe he's now 18. The Post interviewed him with the consent of his mother. Just so you know, that's what we're dealing with. Mom had to consent for the Washington Post to feel comfortable having him interviewed and had his remarks recorded on video.
But he's not the interloper. He's someone
No.
who was originally there.
Right.
Okay,
And
got
then
it.
they corroborated his report with someone else. To me, as I said to you previously, the kicker of the story comes, it's a lengthy story. I'm sorry it's behind a paywall. I can't control that. It's the number one story at Smerconish.com. But the kicker for me is the final paragraph. It's just 2 sentences. To date, no federal law enforcement officials have contacted the young group member. Asked why he was prepared to help OG, even at the risk of his own freedom, the young man replied without hesitation, "He was my best friend." The point I'm drawing attention to is the Post knows all this, and their source has not even, I'm sure this has probably changed as of the time I'm speaking to you, but law enforcement, the FBI, has not yet interviewed this individual. I still have to believe that an arrest is imminent, but it's the Post that did the legwork that tracked all this down.
Wow.
It is the strangest
Investigative
story.
journalism at its best.
More headlines now from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. On any other day, I might be talking more about Fox News.
Yeah, you would. It's a big day.
Big day.
You talk some.
Jury
So,
selection.
yeah.